Evolution of Stitch. Next, Stitch makes a brief cameo in the 2002 animated movie, Treasure Planet, as a stuffed toy on a shelf in Jim Hawkins' bedroom when he was a child. Stitch, originally named Experiment 626, resembling a blue koala, first appears in the 2002 animated movie, Lilo and Stitch, as one of the titular protagonists. He is an illegal genetic experiment created by the mad scientist Dr. Jumba Jookiba. Designed to be abnormally strong, virtually indestructible and super intelligent, Stitch was built with the purpose of spreading chaos and misery across the galaxy. However, his planned function was challenged by his developed relationship with a young orphan named Lilo Pilikai. Although Lilo's efforts to teach Stitch to be good aren't very successful at first, due to his inability to suppress his destructive programming, Stitch gradually develops a strong love for Lilo, to the point where he saves her from Gantu, who is the antagonist of the movie. After his heroism, the Grand Councilwoman allows Stitch to serve his exile on Earth with Lilo as his warden, citing her dog adoption certificate. In the animated TV show, Lilo and Stitch, the series, after the events of Stitch the movie, Stitch and Lilo have to capture Jumba's experiments, turn them from bad to good, and find them each a home before Gantu, 625, and Hamsterville capture them and use them for evil. Due to being the strongest, Stitch is often the one who defeats Gantu and subdues the experiments, leaving it up to Lilo to rehabilitate them. Along the way, Stitch meets his match, 627, who is tougher than him, but whom he eventually defeats with his greater intelligence. Stitch is also affected by 14 experiments' powers. For example, amnesia wipes out his memory, baby fire turns him into a baby, and French fry serves him unhealthy meals and fattens him up into a giant bowling ball. He also meets experiment 624, or just Angel, who is introduced as his love interest, who becomes good out of love for Stitch. Stitch makes a surprise cameo in the outtakes of the 2003 animated movie, Brother Bear, auditioning for the role of the Alaska Marmot, but Stitch is soon dismissed and replaced by the real Alaska Marmot. In the 2003 animated movie, Stitch, Stitch is shown starting to feel lonely, having a difficult time connecting with the island locals, as his freaky appearance and behavior push away other people. Though Lilo tries to comfort him, he seeks Jumba in hopes of learning about having others like himself and the evil scientist. However, Jumba explains that, in the vast universe, he and Stitch are alone and lack what Lilo calls cousins. Later on, Stitch discovers Jumba's first 625 genetic experiments locked in a crate, in the form of dehydrated pods. In order to rescue a kidnapped Jumba, a trade between Dr. Jacques von Hamsterville and Jumba for the experiments is organized, but it instead results in the freedom of the experiments and the capture of Lilo and Stitch. Hamsterville then tries to clone Stitch, but he is rescued by Experiment 221. Stitch then rescued Lilo and landed Hamsterville's spacecraft back in Kauai, where the Grand Councilwoman waited to arrest the evil rodent. She then put Stitch and Lilo in charge of capturing and taming the other illegal genetic experiments scattered on the island. In the 2004 animated movie The Lion King 1.5, a silhouette of Stitch is seen at the end of the movie crawling on the wall inside the dark theater. He bounces off Goofy, Rabbit, Mad Hatter, and Donald as he makes his way to his seat. Stitch appears next in the 2008 animated short, The Origin of Stitch, which serves as a bridge between Stitch Has a Glitch and Stitch the movie, in which it is revealed that Stitch's genes contain those of some of the most powerful creatures in the galaxy, as well as some of Jumba's for brains and good looks. One of the genes was a puppy, explaining Stitch's apparent resemblance to a dog. In the 2005 sequel movie Lilo and Stitch 2, Stitch Has a Glitch, set between the first movie and Stitch the movie. Although Stitch is still easily angered and mischievous sometimes, he also can be reasonably well behaved, with the exiled Jumba and Pleakley in Lilo's house, but then begins to malfunction unintentionally. The reason was that his molecules were not fully charged after his creation, so Stitch frequently experiences periodic glitches that have him revert to his original destructive programming, basically suffering from a seizure disorder and having nightmares of destroying everything and everyone in his path. Seeing this, Jumba creates a new charging chamber for recharging Stitch. However, not wanting to hurt anyone, Stitch attempts to leave Earth for a remote planet, while Lilo, Jumba, and the others desperately try to have him return. Although they are too late when they place him in the recharging pod, Stitch still gets revived by Lilo's love, which goes in accordance with her belief that love is more powerful than death. Next, Stitch appears in the 2006 animated movie, Leroy and Stitch, voiced by Chris Sanders. Here, after Stitch and his friends have successfully captured and redeemed all the remaining experiments, the Grand Councilwoman offers Stitch the chance to become the new captain of the Galactic Armada and its new flagship. He is unsure about this, but Lilo reassures him, telling him that he should go, and also gives him a necklace with a tiki of the god Ku Tiki to give him strength. And after Dr. Hamsterville gets out of prison, he is sent on his first mission as captain to capture him, but upon arriving at Galactic Defense Industries, he faces his new opponent Leroy, who is his enhanced red doppelganger. Although he loses their first battle, at the end he, together with his friends, assist the other 624 experiments in the final defeat of an army of Leroys, after which they all realize that family is the most important thing in the world. In the 2014 computer animated movie, Big Hero 6, Stitch makes 2 cameos. First as a costume worn by Mochi the cat in a painting, and the second as one of the pillows on Fred's bed. In the Japanese anime spin-off TV show, Stitch reappears as one of the main characters, voiced by Ben Diskin. Set a year after the events of Leroy and Stitch, Stitch seems to have reverted to his destructive nature as seen in the original movie. He is first seen being chased in a spaceship by authorities and Jumba before he crash lands on Earth on Izoi Island, off the coast of Okinawa, after which he discovers the Chitama spiritual stone, with the help of his new friend Yuna, and learns that it can grant his wish of becoming the most powerful in the universe in exchange for him doing 43 good deeds. So, wanting to get the wish, with the assistance of his good deed counter made by Jumba, in the course of the show he tries to do them while also keeping track, but due to his mischievous tendencies, he often ends up losing them instead. At the end he gave up his initial wish, deciding that what he really wanted was to stay with Yuna and be her friend. Stitch reappears in the Chinese animated spin-off TV show, Stitch and I in the main role, voiced by Ben Diskin. Here it is revealed that Stitch has additional programming that causes him to undergo a metamorphosis when activated. This transforms him into a large monster capable of destroying not only cities but star systems as well. The information about Stitch's programming is hacked and spreads throughout the galaxy, which causes Stitch to be kidnapped by the Jabutis, who had failed in their own attempts at recreating Jumba's Experiment 626 research and wish to use Stitch to end their space war against the Woologongs. When their ship is raided by the Woologongs, Stitch uses the confusion to escape and falls back to Earth, and after surviving re-entry, he ends up landing in the Huangshan Mountains in China and befriending a young girl named Wang Ailing, who takes him into her family. In the mini-TV show Baymax, Stitch makes a cameo in the episode Sophia as a sticker on the back of a student's chair. Next, Stitch is acknowledged prominently in the 2022 movie Better Nate Than Ever, mainly due to the fact that the movie's main character, Nate Foster, sets off to audition for the role of Stitch for a Broadway musical adaptation of Lilo and Stitch. At one point, when Nate's best friend Libby travels on a bus back to Pittsburgh, she is seen watching the aforementioned movie on her phone, particularly during the scene where Stitch and Nani reconcile. At the end of the movie, Nate, after he had succeeded in getting the lead role in the musical, is seen wearing a costume of Stitch during his performance. Stitch reappears in the animated TV show, Chibi Tiny Tales in a compilation episode every Lilo and Stitch Chibi Tiny Tale, which includes 3 smaller episodes in the Chibi retelling of the original story and 2 other adventures. In the 2023 animated short Once Upon a Studio, Stitch appears after Goofy accidentally breaks the camera, chewing on a piece of it until Lilo drags him away, and also in the group photo along with the rest of the Disney characters. Next, in the 2025 movie Lilo and Stitch, which is a live CGI remake of the original story, Stitch appears, replaying his original role and looking more realistic, voiced by Chris Sanders,